Hey, welcome to the Kwamie Lassiter Sports Talk. We're in the studio with Alex, Clancy, and Deborah Dubree. We got Clancy's Corner, second segment of the show. We're down and dirty with Deborah. And the third segment, we got a lot to talk about. We had some technical difficulties. Alex pulled the plug out. So we got to move fast. We got college BCS or college BS to talk about. We have baseball, MLB, as far as awards, and maybe we'll talk about Prince Fielder and Albert Pujols a little. Not sure what, I think Alex want to argue in Clancy's Corner, so we'll talk about that. Down in Dirty with Deborah, we'll figure out what's going on with there. And guys, welcome to the show.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Good to be here.
What you guys doing for Thanksgiving outside of eating?
Yes, and cooking and having my kids over and playing a lot of goofy games, making fun of each other and working on my sarcasm.
Okay, so you at home being you.
That's it.
Alex?
Northern California, visiting the family.
When you taking out? Tomorrow?
Tomorrow night, yeah.
Okay. Driving, flying?
Flying.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be nice.
And you?
Probably the same. I got a lot of things I got to do on Thanksgiving. I'm thinking about, well, tomorrow I got to referee a football game for my kids' school. I think I've been doing it for like 4 or 5 years. 5 years maybe. And this is the last year, thank God. And and we also have then just at the house eating dinner. I don't know. I got a few things I got to do. I got to make moves.
Got to make moves.
So I got to be gone. All right, let's talk a little bit about. Let's go right into Major League Baseball.
Okay.
Because I know we're going to talk football in the second segment. It's not a whole lot about that. As far as football is concerned, with the everybody stink, and I think the Patriots are only good team in the league, and Pittsburgh still is. That's about it.
Other than that, you don't have an opinion?
I don't have an opinion.
You always have an opinion.
Major League Baseball, Justin Verlander wins MVP and the Cy Young. Give me your guys' opinion on that. I have a problem with somewhat a problem. He is an MVP caliber guy, but over the guys who play every day, he's played 32 games, and we talked about this off the air, all season, and he get paid the big bucks, but he get paid to go in there and do what he's doing, and that's how he get those nominations. That's how he get those awards, MVP and Cy Young. Cy Young, yes, MVP. I mean, there's a lot of guys in this league, Jacoby Ellsbury, Bautista. There's a lot of guys in this league that play every day and hitting every day. And you can make the argument that he doesn't have to hit, so he goes out there and do what he do, eliminate the runs of the other team. But then you got an American League, the pitchers, they don't hit. You got a DH. So how you give him the MVP or not mention a guy like David Ortiz? And it's just for argument's sake, Alex.
He went 24-5, 828 winning percentage. He won 24 of their 95 games, pretty much in essence by himself, because he was in control. He started 3-3, so he ended 21-2. In his 5 losses total, his team scored 5 runs, 1 run per game run support in his losses. Maybe by default because there wasn't somebody like Matt Kemp in the American League, but I really think that he should have won it. He was the clear favorite, and they wouldn't have won the division. They wouldn't have gotten to the playoffs. They wouldn't have gotten where they did without him.
So he's not there. Nobody else played a huge part. You say 24 wins, and I think what he did is what he was supposed to do. You one of the top pitchers, or he wouldn't be. There's a lot of guys that say they can pitch, but when you out there and you putting up those numbers, you win 24 to 30. 30 is tough, but you win 24 games a year when everyone makes an issue on just win 20 games as a pitcher, as a starting pitcher, but you only play in the game 1 out of every 4 or 5 days.
Right.
So, but you MVP of the league.
See, that's the thing. I mean, I'd always look at not only just the statistics, but what's the leadership? Who's the guy that's out there all the time that's really, bringing about the leadership on the team, and then also what are they doing both on and off the field, and look at the whole package, and then vote according to that.
Yeah, Cy Young is one thing, and I think once you win the Cy Young, you automatically in that conversation about MVPs. And I'm not taking away, this is for argument's sake, I'm not taking away from Justin Verlander. There's not a lot of pitchers that's been able to do that, win the Cy Young and then win the MVP. But I just got to look at a lot of guys in the league that play every day. They play every day, contribute to the team just as much as his 24 wins when he's out there. Out of 24, how many times he started?
34.
24. Those are great numbers.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to think like Jacoby Ellsbury played on one of the best offensive teams in the American League. Their problem was the pitching. So, yeah, Jacoby Ellsbury had a really good year. About 321, 32 home runs, and over 100 RBIs. But pitching wins championships. Talk to the Giants, the San Francisco Giants. Talk to even Arizona for making the playoffs. It was their pitching that got them there. And that's the anchor for any winning team. You wonder why the Yankees don't win every year, because it's pitching, it's not always hitting. And he was the first one to win it since Roger Clemens in '86. So, they definitely saw him as the strength of that team and the nucleus, otherwise they wouldn't have given him the award.
If I have a vote, he's Cy Young automatically. If my vote goes into the MVP, I don't think I give it to him. I think in pitching, you do have to have pitching, but you have to have defense, which is what he is, defensive guy. You have to have offense, which those other 9 guys on the team, and probably in those 9 guys, you probably got 6 legitimate bats. You got to be able to put those points on the board. And for argument's sake, and we can keep going about this, that he allows you to win by 1 point. He allows your team to be 2-0 and win, even with a better team on the other side of that because of his pitching. So, he is the guy. He is MVP for the Detroit Tigers. But as far as the league goes, that's just, we can argue about that all day, and no one will be right.
Another big stat of his is he won 16 of his games after the Detroit Tigers lost a game before, which is huge, which doesn't start any downward trend. He always keeps them at bay, and they ended up winning a tough division, and it was difficult, and he was the reason why. That's the main point. The most valuable player on a winning team was him in the American League.
Yeah, he's the most valuable.
And that's why he should have won. That's why there was no problem with it.
I think there's a problem with it.
You don't have a vote, though, so.
I don't have a vote. I got an opinion.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just like my vote. I'm not taking anything away from him. He is what everyone thinks he is. MVP. He's also a guy who doesn't bat. He plays great defense, and his defense is pitching. You get up there on the mound. People know this is going to be a long game for us. If I'm the opposing team, that he has a lot of stuff working for him when he steps on the mound. 24 wins out of 34 wins. Those are like I said, those are great numbers. And the statistics being what they are, I got a problem with baseball stats anyway. I'm up to bat 10 times. I just need to hit the ball 3 times, and I'm gonna get $200 million. If I'm young enough, or if I got good defense, a lot of that goes into play. I got defense, and all I have to do is sit at first base, get the line drivers, and wait for somebody to throw me the ball.
Well, no, wait a minute. You got to pay attention too.
That's paying
Because
attention.
you got to pay attention in order to get down on the ball.
That's paying
So,
attention.
dude, there's a lot to that.
You just totally counteracted your point initially about how you have to be able to play
That's perfect.
defense and hit.
Yeah.
And you just said nobody does anything on defense half the time.
Who
You
doesn't
just
do
said that
that?
all you have to do is go down and get the ball at first base.
Well, how do you explain a Reyes?
He's throwing the ball 100 times a game.
That's the pitching coach's fault.
What? I'm talking about
It's
it's
fault.
his job to prevent runs.
He's not.
And that's why the pitcher's the most important defensive player. The most important position player is a pitcher. He just only pitches every 4 or 5 days.
The most important guy is a guy who can do more than one thing. I'm not taking away from Justin Verlander and his MVP. If I got to vote for an MVP, he's not an MVP in my book.
Okay.
He's a MVP of the Detroit Tigers. He's a Cy Young in that National and American League. He's not MVP. I don't care. 24 games. There's other pitchers on that staff that won just as many. That won like 16, 17 games. Now, how you don't? Where do they sit on their team as far as the MVP? He has to allow him to come out every 4 days or every 5 days and pitch those games.
And another thing is that, again...
And I'm giving him $15 million probably a game every time he pitched.
The other thing is that there really wasn't anybody else that could have won it. There was the clear-cut position player favorite. Jose Bautista is a long ball hitter. He plays pretty good defense. Jacoby Ellsbury plays good defense, steals bases. He's a solid batter. But there was nobody like Matt Kemp in the American League who would have just ran away with it. So that's why it was...
So we got it by process of elimination?
I guess.
Well,
That's why a pitcher won it. That's why a pitcher won it this year, because there was no other clear-cut position player favorite.
Yeah, no, I don't agree with that. You
Fair
got you just mentioned two other guys, but in the National League, we think
Neither of which made the playoffs either. Those two, neither of them made the playoffs.
Yeah, no. Well, they MVP of their team.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, Matt Kemp. I think the National League comes out. Who won for the Cy in the National League?
Clayton Kershaw.
Clayton Kershaw. another guy who played outstanding.
He was making $500,000 this year, just for the record.
He's what?
He only made $500,000 this year and won the Cy Young.
Okay, well now his numbers about to go up.
Yeah.
He's winning the Cy Young.
Yeah.
And I talked to a lot of baseball guys. I wouldn't say a lot. I talked to enough of them. That this baseball right here, there's guys that are getting contracts that didn't even do anything this year. We can name a few, and I may have some baseball guys call in and talk about that. But Matt Kemp, I think, is the clear-cut winner in the National League of what he did. He just signed. When you sign a big contract, a lot of things come with that, and an MVP may be one of them. He just signed an 8-year, $160 million. I think it's well-deserved. I think he is that guy on a losing team and out there in L.A. So who else is a favorite to win this thing?
I mean, Prince Fielder could. Albert Pujols. It's funny because they didn't do so hot until the end of August when they went on that crazy run and made the playoffs. But what he does in the postseason, which isn't part of the All-Star voting, because not everybody makes the playoffs, obviously. He'd be my
Prince
MVP
Fielder?
every year. No, Albert Pujols every year.
Albert Pujols?
Every year.
Yeah, and I like Prince Fielder and what he's done throughout the years.
When he leaves Milwaukee, he'll have a better chance. Like if he goes to Chicago and plays first base for them, he'll have a better chance. He'll have more exposure, and he'll be hitting in a ballpark that's the size of a thimble.
Well, Prince Fielder gave the Brewers an opportunity, about 2 or 3 years ago, to sign him to an 8-year, $176 million.
They can't afford it.
Well, they didn't do it. They probably can't afford it. Now, that is a smaller market. But look who this guy is to that team. Look what he's a la Justin Verlander. Look who he is to this team. Look who he is in this league. So now those numbers have to go up.
Yeah, but
He's 28 years old.
Yeah.
He's defense. He's a slugger. He's offense. Definitely an offense. And what he does for that team around that team.
I think Ryan Braun's probably more important to that team than Prince Fielder is. Ryan Braun's a beast.
He is.
Look at the playoffs against Arizona. He killed them. That 1-2 punch knocked Arizona out of the playoffs last year.
That wasn't going to be a problem. I don't think that was going to be a problem. He missed those games. They still that team. I thought Milwaukee had a better team. I thought what Arizona did, what Kirk Gibson did for that team was outstanding. We talked about it.
He could win Coach of the Year.
Yeah, that wouldn't be far fetched. But I thought what he did for that team, they were outstanding. These guys were playing at a different level, and hopefully the Diamondbacks get the right pieces in place so they can continue the success and even be more better. But the Milwaukee Brewers, I thought, was a better team than Arizona Diamondbacks. It comes down. I mean, once you get into the playoffs, anything can happen. Teams knock each other off. We saw that with the fall off, with the Braves falling off and allowing a St. Louis Cardinals team to get in the playoffs and do what they did in playoffs in the World Series. But I just thought Prince Fielder was that dominant of a guy who now can command, just like Albert Pujols. Albert Pujols is 31, 32. Prince Fielder 28. I think he can command those same numbers.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, Pujols has also won World Series, and Prince Fielder hasn't gotten close. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Pujols definitely had one when he was Prince Fielder's age.
Prince, what say it again?
He had a World Series when he was Prince Fielder's age.
Yeah, he had a lot of people around him too. Well, when you looking at what Prince Fielder, he has Braun with him. Prince Fielder, he has some pieces in place. But if it comes down to their market, they can't bring certain guys in. And St. Louis is not that big of a market either.
That's true.
And that's why, it comes down to when you get in the playoffs. I think it's just, it's the luck of the draw. And we say this in football, just get into the playoffs. Then those good teams knock each other off. All you got to do is win 2 games. So, I don't know. That's baseball. And we'll see if Matt Kemp wins that today, the National League MVP. We can talk a little college because we're going to move fast because we got break when ready, huh? Hey, well, okay, we'll come back and we'll talk college football. We're going to talk about the BCS. This is the Kwamie Lassiter Sports Talk with Alex Clancy and Deborah Dubree in the studio. We'll be back in 65
minutes.
Seconds. Okay.
He's always going to change it. Oh, man.
I'm going right to Clancy's corners then.
All right, I won that argument, by the way.
I ain't know what was
I won that for sure.
I ain't know who was keeping stats.
Spivey will be very proud of me.
Okay, I'm gonna start keeping stats.
Uh-huh.
See the win these arguments.
Oh, we gotta turn this down. I don't know which one's mine.
Yours maybe.
Oh, got it.
I find it's
You
for
ain't
you.
moving it. Yeah.
That was loud.
It's like some of these other guys, they want to be paid for doing their job.
Right.
You know,
I might take that out.
give me more.
Yeah, exactly. I might have turned my speaker down. Hey, welcome back to Kwamie Lassiter Sports Talk. We are live here in Tempe, Arizona. We're gonna talk a little college football, but right now we'll get into Clancy's corner.
Here we go again. At 4-6, the San Diego Chargers are in third place in the second weakest division of the NFL. Since I last brought them up, nothing at all has improved. They made Carson Palmer look like an all-star in the 24-17 loss to Oakland, who's also missing their stud running back, Run DMC, Darren McFadden. Also, they showed how truly far they are behind the pack of contenders for a Super Bowl when they lost to Chicago this past weekend. They're just playing uninspired, turnover-ridden football. Again, they're 4-6. Their 4 wins came in the first 5 games of the season, with those teams that they beat have a combined record of 14-26. Of those 4 teams, 2 are in last place in their respective division, and the other 2 are Denver and Kansas City. So now they've lost 5 in a row. They're 2-2 in the division, a division with a quarterback who can't throw the ball, an ancient warrior playing as a placeholder in Oakland, and a team with a quarterback who made his first career start yesterday. If they can't win this division, then shame on them. And just like the captains do while walking up for the coin toss in midfield before the start of a game, Norv Turner and A.J. Smith should lock hands and walk right the hell out of the front door of the San Diego Charger organization and never look back, because it's definitely time for a change. If this season isn't all the front office of the Chargers needs to make the changes necessary, then they're far more ignorant of the true problem than I originally had thought. There are plenty of coaches waiting in the wings that could instantly make the dormant volcano that used to be one of the most explosive teams in the NFL an active one again. Part of me hopes they make a run and make the playoffs. Part of me does. The other part, actually maybe a bigger part, hopes that Tim Tebow wins the division. Why? Why would you possibly ask that? Because nothing would hurt more than having a running back who happens to play quarterback lead a team to a division championship. So I'm set. Something's got to happen, and I'm livid about it. And nothing has yet.
I think the AFC at this point is weak, like we talked about the NFC West last year with the Cardinals, St. Louis, San Fran's holding their own this year. Now the AFC, I think AJ is a problem. I think Norv Turner is a problem. San Diego Chargers is one of the most disappointing teams this year, along with the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the Chargers started off strong. In the past, they was that team that we would see them at a 3-6, and then they'll go on a run and get that back to a even 6-6. Then they go 9-6, and then they'll finish the season 8-8. Well, not if they go 9-6, but they'll finish the season strong. They're never that team that starts strong. Now, we thought with some hope, these guys started 3-0. They went out there and faced New England, so they lose that game. They 3-1. But they were playing good football. They're sitting here in 4-6. Again, the AFC is West, but they got an easy schedule coming up now. And I think, and I say easy because they got Denver next on November 27th. Tim Tebow, the way he's been playing, you know what? He's not a quarterback, but what is the typical quarterback to be? Should every quarterback look like Tom Brady? It was a problem when Michael Vick came in because he didn't look like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. It was a problem when Donovan came in because now everybody wants to conform the quarterback to their image, and that may be so if you own a team, or if you got a lot of stock into the scouting, the draft, you can do those things. But Josh McDaniels, the guy that brought Tim Tebow in, tried to make him a quarterback. They went on a quarterback search. They have 2 guys over there now sitting on the bench that I think are better throwing mechanics. But Tim Tebow, why he's the quarterback for the Denver Broncos, is because his passion for the game. I'm not saying these other guys are slouches and they don't want to win, but he's a winner. Tebow knows how to win. He doesn't really know how to lose, and, for lack of better words. He knows how to win, and the guys respond to him. He talks all the time about his receivers not not being selfish. They know he's going to run the ball. They know he can't throw, so they get the ball when they get the ball. Now, after that, the San Diego Chargers have Jacksonville. That's 2 wins. I think they should be able to pull it off. But Phillip Rivers is having too many fourth-quarter problems. He's not getting the ball. He's not winning the games in the fourth quarter. 2 weeks ago, I was at the San Diego-Oakland game, and I just looked at Phillip Rivers. It always looked like he was pressing. I thought that was a game they could win. Now, he tried to come back, but then he throws an interception in the fourth quarter again for these guys to lose. Now, we can talk about no Sean Phillips. We can talk about and I won't say an aging, I'll say an injured Antonio Gates. Floyd was out. Darren Sproles is gone. I don't think the running back they have there now,
Ryan Matthews
is, I don't see anything special from him. I watch him have a few games, but there's nothing special. If I can get a running back in the draft, I'm getting a running back in the draft.
Well, one of the things I get tired of hearing is that the comments by coaches, comments by players is, we're better than that. Well, if you were better than that, you'd be getting, you'd have a better record. You're really not better than that. And, where does that lie? Well, if you go back to the root cause, you've got a team that's made up of coaches, players, and owners. And if those guys can't get their act together to work as a team and get their, not only their mechanics together, their emotions together, their morals together, to be able to pull it together and have the passion in order to win, then they're not any better than that. And it goes back to personal responsibility in each one of those areas. Players are getting paid heavy money in order to be able to play at their competitive best. They're not doing their job. Coaches aren't doing their job. The owners are dissing on everybody else. And then you wonder why these guys can't get it together and play on Sunday.
I think these guys figured out that football is a business now, so that's why we see the lack of effort out there. I don't see a lot of passion in football these days. The teams are winning. They are the good teams. They are the more veteran teams, seasoned teams. I just don't see the passion out there, so I see more guys holding out than playing football at a high level.
And I agree with you. When I talk to some of the younger players, or you look at the younger players and watch the interviews, it's all about the money. Where's the bucks? You give me the bucks, then I'll show up for the meetings, then I'll actually play at my competitive best. When I talk to the veterans are going through, yeah, I was there at one time, and now I know better. Now I know that this is my job, and I'm going to show up and do my job the way I'm supposed to.
Yeah, if you come into the league, I came in on some veteran guys, some good guys. If you win games, then everybody wins. Then you're a part of a team, and other teams are looking at you. Other coaches are looking at you, saying, "Well, they were winning over there at this team. So let's see if this guy, he's up, he's a free agent. See if he can help us win. Maybe he's a piece of the puzzle that we're missing." But with these guys holding out, I think you should honor your contract. But I think that honoring your contract should work both ways. If you don't like the contract and the back end of it, don't sign it.
Right.
If you sign the contract, play it through. I don't think the owners, a huge mess in this problem also. You can't cut me or do whatever. I signed a contract to play for your team. You can't release me or turn my contract because you feel like I'm not playing up to the ability. Well, I got that contract for what I did and what I'm about to do.
Right.
So I think the contract should work on both ends of it.
Yeah, and I totally agree, because you always negotiate a contract when everybody's friendly. You get all the terms in there when everybody's friendly to cover all the potential possibilities that could come up, and then you just do what you got to do according to your contract.
Right. You see those teams winning. You see at the end of the season, you see a lot of guys being re-signed, a lot of restructuring and all that. But the teams that's losing, you wonder why they haven't signed this guy back yet. He was a bright spot of the team, but why you haven't re-signed him? Why you got to wait until the end of the 11th hour, the free agent market ends. But to add a little bit more to Clancy's corner, the ownership, the management, like A.J. Smith, he has been a problem there for a while. His stubbornness, which in some aspects the player has to be, but they want the same thing. It's just a matter of how they going to get it, when they going to get it. It's always a year or two that's missing.
And that's the thing going into any type of negotiations. I don't care if it was the NFL or now we've got the NBA or we've got down to a team level, is if you guys, you guys, meaning the guys, say the 49ers, can decide, this is the end result we're both looking to achieve. Now, what's it going to take to get there? What do you need? What do I need? Where am I willing to compromise, and where am I not going to give in at all? And then get it done and move on.
Yeah, but you got to think in football. I mean, you can attest to this probably. The owners don't want to pay you if you get hurt, and the players want to get money before they get hurt. If in fact they do get hurt, if you blow out your knee, you could be done for the rest of your life, and you have no income. So there's a problem there. That's like the center ground where it's like the no-fly zone. Neither of the sides are going to understand where the other person is coming from. I mean, doesn't that have a lot to do with football negotiations?
It does, and the owners, it has something to do with it. But the owners, these are the guys. This is a business to these guys.
Right.
So they've never played football. They bring guys in out of college who's accountant who've never been in the locker room, and all they do with the numbers. They never talk to the guy and find out what his heart is, where his heart is, where his passion is, how the team in the locker room responds around him. It's all about the numbers. It's all about the business with these guys. And the player, rightfully so, you're going to get hurt in football. You're going to get hurt regardless of how long you play. I've seen some guys come in, first year they're gone, and you're like, this guy's good. So now you're seeing a lot of this stuff as far as a lot of players saying, I'm holding out. Chris Johnson over in Tennessee, rightfully so, he should have held out. I think he should have held out, but he had another year on his contract, and I think they extended it a little bit, or gave him a little bit more the prior year and previous year.
Right.
But for what he did for the past 3 years, or since he's been in the league, I think he deserved a better contract. I think Matt Forte and the Chicago Bears deserve a better contract. What these guys are doing for their team, because the owners at any time can cut this up.
Yeah, but no matter how much you disagree with me, because we've talked about this before, Chris Johnson screwed this up for every other stud running back, stud player now because of what he's done over for the first 9 weeks. Because he had a huge game 2 weeks ago, and he had a Chris Johnson performance. That's why Matt Forte hasn't gotten paid.
I don't think Chris Johnson was the guy that did that. You can look at a guy like
But look at all the other owners that are looking at what poor Tennessee did. They gave this guy all this money, and he hasn't shown up for anything because he got paid. He's paid now, so now it shows if he really wants to play football or if he wants to go on vacation his whole life.
If they didn't have the money to give, or he wasn't that caliber running back, there's no way as a businessman I'm going to give you that money. Emmitt Smith held out because they paid Troy Aikman. Now it could have started with Emmitt Smith, but Emmitt Smith, he.
That goes back to the quality of your player too. You take somebody like Emmitt Smith, man, he was all heart. He was going to play because playing is what he did.
Chris Johnson,
a big old line too that made him look good.
Chris Johnson is a premier running back. He is that guy. Chris Johnson didn't go through any camps. Chris Johnson didn't have a nucleus with that team. Now, look at their head coach, who was an offensive line coach last year. The running game has changed. The running game has changed a lot. So I wouldn't put a lot of their running game missing because those guys are playing pretty good without Chris Johnson. But when you get him that contract, now you have to feature him, and he hasn't been through any camp. I wouldn't say he's the problem with the holdout. It can go back to a lot of guys that's held out. And then the owners see that. It's track record of a lot of this stuff. The owners see that, well, I'm not going to pay you for the reason you mentioned. You may get hurt, or the player wants his money because if I get hurt,
right,
I need some compensation.
And I would pay Matt Forte because he's kept his mouth shut and just produced.
Somewhat, but he's doing a lot of rhetoric talking. But
he's top 5 in the league. I understand, but I mean he's not like crossing his arms saying I'm not going to play.
And then they're gonna need him even more with
Cutler
out. Cutler going.
That kid could be pretty good.
But who they should go get is that Mike Marshall's the offensive coordinator. Go get Mark Bolger. Go get that guy who knows the offense well. We're gonna take a break. We got Kenya Simone on hold. Hopefully she can join us in the next segment. We're gonna get down and dirty with Deborah. Kwamie Lassiter Sports Talk. Alex Clancy and Deborah Dubree.
Kenya,
what's up?
Hey, girl.
What's up, everybody?
What's up, Kenya? Simone?
Not too much. Had report car pickup, and I got a break, so I ran down to the refrigerator.
Oh, okay. Okay, we got that. We down and dirty with Deborah now. You want to get a part down?
I heard that. Okay, Deborah.
Go for it, girl. Jump in anytime.
How long your break? Oh, 7 more minutes.
The next half hour, so I'm going to rest the show.
Oh, okay.
you always sound so happy.
She always happy.
I am always happy.
And it's cold in Chicago. She stay happy.
It's rainy and dark here today, but
Yeah, it's cold here too. It's like 54.
you know what?
We're freezing our butts off.
And I think it's going to be 76 today or 75. So
Oh,
Yeah.
God, I got to wear a
We have to
sweater.
suffer through.
yeah, I'm going to hit me some golf balls. I feel like Tiger Woods
Oh,
going
can
to
I
hit golf
get
balls.
Probably about 41 here today.
And dropping.
Are we going to talk about Tiger? Are you gonna do
Yeah.
Yeah.
don't think we'll have
We'll
time.
see what Deborah's talking about. I don't know where Deborah's going. You reading her stuff?
Oh, I'm
goodness.
cheating on the test.
You got.
In the hole?
Yeah, I'm leaving.
I'm taking over. I'm
I'm
taking over her
protesting.
spot.
I'm holding out. I'm going to negotiate my contract here. That's right.
Welcome back to Kwamie Lassiter Sports Talk. We're gonna go down dirty with Deborah before she leaves. She was talking about holding out. We got Kenya Simone calling from WGCI in Chicago, Chi-Town. Welcome to the show, Kenya, and Alex Clancy in the studio as well. Let's go down and dirty.
All right, so this week I want to talk about Thanksgiving. And I mean giving thanks. Now, the one thing that I want you to understand is that as an elite athlete, this is one of the greatest tools that you can use, is knowing and understanding how to give thanks. It's a way of actually, the science of it is looking at how you're going to train your mind, how you're going to train your brain so that you can use giving thanks for the performance that you just gave moment by moment is actually going to retrain your brain for greater success so that you can be at your competitive best. There's three aspects of this. One of them is, you may have heard me talk about it before, that emotions are the glue to memory. So when you take, thanks and appreciation and a celebration, then it sets in your memory so that you can repeat it. The second aspect is the mind loves details. So when we say good job, that really doesn't mean anything. You've got to get exact and specific as to what it was that you just did that was really great. The third aspect of this is the mind really wants to please. It loves to be able to get appreciated, to get respected, and it will outperform the next time when you give it that thanks and the appreciation. So let's get down to the raw and real as to how you might use this. So some examples of any sport in any position. Let's take a guy in football that's playing defense. And he just finished a play, and typically, you might see guys jumping up and down, slapping hands, hitting helmets, whatever, and that's it. What they could really do is take that to the next level and tell themselves, how great they were. They anticipated the snap. They got their knees high. They took down that fill-in-the-blank player on the other side, and they really followed through on the ball. You take it in coaching when you're coaching kids, and Kwamie, I know you coach your son. And, I talked to Seth Joyner a couple weeks ago about him, coaching his son. You can ask your kids questions when you're coaching them about what did you just do that you really liked? What are you really proud of? How great was that? Let them get really specific and then celebrate that with them again so it locks into their mind. The third thing I want to talk about is what I'm going to be doing on Thursday at Thanksgiving with my kids, and you can do with your family. We stand around the table, hold hands with all this mass amount of food in front of us, and we look and we each one say something separately as to what specifically and exactly we're thankful for. So the bottom line is, if you want to play at a higher level, get more consistent, and be at your competitive best, be thankful, celebrate, and be exact and specific with it when you do, and it starts to retrain your brain to want more and more of that, and you start playing even better.
I want to touch on that. It's always good. I want to touch on the mind wants to please. Now I watch football today, and I'm thinking about these guys are killing each other. I don't know how I don't know how I played it. With that type of physicalness that they going out there with, but I look at this stuff, they are killing each other. And when you say the mind wants to please, I think I believe we trained our mind to never stay hurt till the end of the week. When you was hurt, you had to be out there and you wanted to please, so you had to be back out on the field. And then guys don't feel injuries until they retire or until they done playing, unless it's something major. But when you were saying that was one of the first things that come to mind, that I don't know how these guys or how I was able to do that, because we was taught that there was no pain unless you were injured.
Pain is optional.
Yeah, you injured or hurt. You can't be hurt. You can't be. There shouldn't be anything to keep you out of next week's game.
I've got a player right now who's a 7-8 year veteran that I'm working with in the NFL, and he's got a knee problem right now. He's going through a little bit of therapy, and they gave him some pills and whatever, but he says it still hurts. I invested maybe 5 minutes with him on the phone the other night, did some some what I call imagination, to have an imagine what it was like now that he was playing at his competitive best, how his knee felt, ran that energy through his body, gave it a color, because green is a very healing color. And so for some of you, this may sound a little woo-woo. I got news for you. The science backs it up. After about 3 to 5 minutes, I asked him, I said, how's your knee feel right now? He's like, holy crap. He said, it feels really, really good. So I sent him a recording, because I turned around and recorded myself doing the similar type of exercise for him, sent it to him. I said, you listen to this every freaking day, and your knee will respond to what you tell it to do.
Do you record all the guys you talk to and give it back to them so they have a feedback?
If they want, most of them won't listen to it, because if I give them a full session, they don't want that.
Right.
You know, because they're not going. It's good enough to get them on the phone for a few minutes, much less, you know, for an entire session. But I do record what I call strategic imagination in my brain training sessions, and those I make specific and exact to them as the individual, and to the sport, and to the position that they play. So a defensive guy, if he's a linebacker, is going to be different than if I'm working with a wide receiver, or if I'm working with, you know, any other position, or my golfers. So it's specific to them, and it's using their terminology and their words and feeding it back to them in a way that it's more meaningful for them.
Do you think that
I like what you said about giving thanks, like standing around your table and giving thanks as a family. We do something very similar here in Chicago, and it's so important, from the youngest of the young to the oldest matriarch and patriarch of the family. You know, everybody has something different to give thanks for, to be thankful for. So I really, really like that.
And it's surprising what they...
Economic terms, there is something, everybody has something they can be thankful for. Like, I may not be thankful for the Bears making it to the playoffs and the Jays after, but I can
Keep
be
the hope.
for a good fun season. So
There's some optionals for the Bears.
They got possibilities.
Yeah, they got a good running game, and
It'd be crazy if you think Mark Bulger's going to be the answer there.
I think Mark Bulger, well, he's been sitting out for a while, just like Palmer was for the Raiders. But look at Palmer now. I mean, if you've been a good quarterback mentally, you can come back, you can train your mind to get back into that.
Well, one of the things I look at too, and I look at these quarterbacks that are coming up, and we're going down to second and third, you know, on the line. Look at the Cardinals. Those guys could have been preparing their second or third string in any position, mentally and emotionally. So when their number's called, man, they're ready to jump and they're ready to perform at their highest level, rather than, well, you know, this is their first time. And
I blame a lot of that on the coaches too, because during the week, they say it's not enough time in the week. You get the first team got a lot of reps, more of the reps, but you got to prepare for the what if, like the Cardinals, for example, that John Skelton had to come and play, and he played well. Okay, he goes up to a team that's playing outstandingly in San Francisco, and they lose the game. But it's the quarterback's fault, because I'm tired of hearing we still a work in progress. I'm tired of hearing about the camp. Everybody had the same camp. That's why I say the veteran teams, the more seasoned teams, are winning football games now. But it's too many excuses coming from the coaches, and not enough blame to the coaches. Because Skelton, he is good. I thought he would be an answer if he had more reps. I didn't think you had to bring in a
But here's the thing, he could have the reps without ever going on the field. That's the thing that's interesting, is that the mind doesn't know the difference between real or imagined, which is why I work with the guys over the phone, over Skype, if they're overseas or whatever, send them the recordings, and I tell them, use this, because once your brain knows and understands, because you can run the play perfectly in your mind, once it knows and understands what you want it to do, then the opportunity for you to do it on the field instinctually, rather than have to think about it, is so much greater.
Do you think that it has to do, you said, like on the field stuff with the things, even like telling people they're doing a good job and whatnot, do you think that is one of the major foundations of leadership? Like,
telling them no.
Positive influence?
Telling them helps. The problem is with telling people is I could walk up to you and say, you know what, you're really great. And you could be thinking yourself, yeah, well, not so much.
No, but I mean explaining. Like if a quarterback came up to a defensive end and said, nice tackle, this is what, like, I mean, because there's always pretty much a designated leader on a team, on good teams.
So yes, to answer your question, if they do it specifically and exactly what they did right, that's absolutely going to help. The next level beyond that, which goes to the greatness, is to do it with that emotion. Now the emotion is not, let's go hold hands and sing We Are the World. Mm-hmm. The emotions is actually celebrating it with them, slapping hands, the whole, pad bumping and all that kind of stuff, I am all for that because that's bringing in that heavy emotion, but do it specifically.
Tim Tebow.
I think it worked both ways because when I'm playing against people, I don't say good tackle or do any of that or good play because all that does is build your confidence up. When I'm golfing against people, I don't say good shot. You're supposed to hit that good shot. No, I expect you to hit that shot. I'm not going to say good shot or I'm not going to say good tackle or any of that stuff. And I don't expect you to say it to me. I expect to make that play. You talk about the mental, taking reps. I've seen every play I made in football before I even made the play.
Right. And this is the thing. It's the best coach is yourself because you know exactly what's going to feed you. So most of what I'm talking about is how do you mentally and emotionally feed yourself specifically and exactly what are you thankful for on that particular play. Somebody else says it may have some benefit, but the more you feed yourself, the better you're going to play.
Right.
Like emotions before you look at it totally different ways because, like, Theo, for example, when he was crying like, that's my quarterback. He got teased around the world for that, but he was just showing emotion.
And he got cut.
He's a whack job.
He got released 2 weeks later. Thought he was that team and loved him. But yeah, it is emotional. Football is an emotional game, and I tell a lot of people this. The football exposes everything about you.
That's right.
It's emotional. If you're an emotional person, then we'll see a guy like T.O. crying when everyone says there's no crying. You got to be tough. You don't have to be tough in football. You got to be smart.
You want a cleansing? Go play a sport like football because it'll cleanse every emotion out of you that it can possibly cleanse.
If you're a coward, it shows you're a coward. If you're one of those guys that's trying to hide or not getting reps, it shows that, and that's why you bounce from team to team.
Yeah.
If you tough, football shows that you are tough.
Plus, everybody knows T.O. never cared about anybody but himself his entire life.
Until later in his career when he needed the NFL, when he was in his prime, everybody think they're Superman, they can't get hurt, and there is tomorrow. But later in his career, he's looking for a team right now.
And he's sitting watching football exactly where I am on Sundays.
Right.
And most of the problem occurs is not how the guys act on the field with their emotions. Some of it shows up there, and obviously there's a lot that can be done. The biggest problem is when they leave the field. And when they're on that drive home or that plane ride home or they're at home and they have to deal with their own emotions at that point in time and they know their own weaknesses and they don't address them in a way that they can address it once you name it and you can do something about it and turn it into a strength or get rid of it, one of the two. But whatever your strengths are, leverage them. If it's a weakness, we get rid of it so that you can play at your competitive best and be emotionally strong on game day.
That's right. If you leave it out on the field, we're going to take a break, but if you leave it out all on the field, you can look at yourself the next day or in film room when you go to the team and feel like I've done everything I'm supposed to do, but there are some corrections that could be made. But where you were playing full speed and you're playing hard on every play, you're going to make mistakes, but you're going to give yourself a chance.
We go to those percentages again.
Yeah, you give yourself a chance playing hard. Hey, it's Kwamie Lassiter Sports Talk. Alex Clancy, Deborah Dubree. We got Kenya Simone, WGCI in Chicago. We'll be back. We got a small segment. Let's get into some BS, college BS, and we'll finish up the show. Okay. Hey, Kenya, what was you had an anniversary over in Chicago, WGCI?
Yeah, 4 years in the
Yeah, congrats on that.
You guys hiring? You guys hiring?
You don't know about no slow jams.
Come on.
You trying to hurt some Rod Stewart.
How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? That'd be you looking in the mirror. You be singing that looking in the mirror. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes. in my head, I was thinking out loud.
Oh God.
Okay, we'll go to some. We'll go to football for real quickly.
How much time we got? We only got like 7 or 8 minutes.
On the Voice America Network, we got 3 minutes. Yeah, like 3 minutes. Yeah. King, what else is going on?
You're going to hit your head song.
Rod Stewart.
I wish Monk could find that for the out track.
Monk got some Rod Stewart. He got it on his iPod.
That's right. We can't use it anymore.
That's really not my sexy music, but I'll come back to it. Hey, welcome back to the Kwamie Lassiter Sports Talk. Hey, we want to say congratulations to Kenya and Simone, 4-year anniversary being with the radio station, WGCI. Congratulations, Kenya.
Ooh, way to go, girl. Woo.
4 years, that's a long time being in one place. That could be a
Be a radio, y'all know that.
that could be a career. You making a career. That's a difference, a career and a job.
That's right.
Okay. Okay, well, good luck. You know, if you need us to come on there and be a guest.